So let's go ahead and get started. Let's look at how to install WordPress itself. Now we're going to be installing WordPress on our own local server. You also might be able to do this, or you might want to install it on a remote server via FTP. The only real difference between the two will be you'll have to make sure you know how to upload those files and have the proper database information. If you don't know how to set up a MySQL database on your server, you might want to contact tech support for your server and ask them to set it up and send you the appropriate settings. We're here at WordPress.org, where you'll always find right on the homepage this download WordPress, which will be the most recent version of WordPress available to you. So I click on that and it takes me to the download page itself, and I'm going to download it as a zip file. It's downloading, and once it's downloaded, I can go ahead and find it in my downloads folder. And here it is. It's in this folder called WordPress. It's already been unzipped for me. And if I open this up, I can see these files right here. This is WordPress itself. All of these files need to be moved to the web server root of your server. That might be called HTML or public_HTML, or in this case on our server, it's called the htdocs. So I'm going to drag these over from my download folder to my web server root. Once they're there, I'm ready to move on to the next level, which just means I have to open the root folder of my web browser, and it'll automatically take me to the Install WordPress screen. So here I am. I refresh, and it gives me this page right here. It says, there doesn't seem to have been a WP config file. I need this before we can get started. If the permissions are set properly, which by default they tend to be, you can just walk through the process to create your own configuration file. If your web server doesn't give you the means to do this, you might have to go in and enter wp-config.php manually. But most of the time, that's not going to be a problem. So let's walk through this. It's telling us ahead of time that we're going to need the database name, username, password, database host, and a table prefix, which is important because it is possible to run multiple versions of WordPress in the same database. Click on Let's Go. And my database name I know is WordPress. I'm going to enter a username for this database, which in our case is root. The password is root. I don't recommend you use these same settings on yours. In our case, the local host is the name of the database, and we're just going to use the default table prefix of WP_, which means all of the tables in the database for WordPress will have that at the beginning. It's also helpful if you want to run any other scripts out of the same database. You can keep track of which ones are connected to WordPress. It says, all right, Sparky, you've made it through this part of the installation. It's time. Run the install. Takes us through that much, and then all we have to do now is name our site, which we're going to call today Ringo Majingo. We're going to give it a username admin and a password, and a default email address for the admin account, which is where you'll receive notifications of comments and that sort of thing. For now, on ours, I'm going to turn off allow search engines to index this site. And if you're building a new site, you might want to turn this off so that search engines don't come and find what you're up to until you're ready to. But if you feel like you're going to be ready to go from the start, you can leave that turned on. Push the button. It takes us to step 2. And guess what? There isn't a step 2. Step 2 is success, and you're done. So we have this screen here, which says, or this button here that says login, and here we go. And it takes us to the login screen. I put in my username and password, and we're in the dashboard. One thing that would be helpful for you to know down the road is if you want to go to the dashboard on your server, you just want to type the name of your domain or your server /wp-admin. And that'll either take you to the dashboard itself if you're already logged in, or if you're not logged in already, it'll take you to the login screen where you can enter your credentials for the site.